So there's something called the product rule. Forgive my handwriting. Which states that if you have the derivative of something like, let's say you have x times cosine x. You can't just take the derivative of that because you're multiplying, not adding. Remember, if we were adding these, you could just take the derivative separately. But because we're multiplying them, we have to use something called the product rule. So let's say f of x equals x. This is this part. And then g of x equals cosine of x for this scenario. These could be anything. So the product rule says that the derivative with respect to x of f of x times g of x equals, there's like something that can help you remember. It's left d right plus right d left. So this is the left one and this is the right one. And another notation that I should have showed you earlier, which is very important, is that we write the derivative of f of x as being f prime of x. So this little prime just means the derivative of. So that's going to show up in this formula. So I'll write another equal sign down here to make it more clear. So the derivative of f of x times g of x, in this case we're doing x times cosine of x, is left, the left one, f of x, times the derivative of the right, g prime of x, plus the right, g of x times f prime of x. So look, left d right plus right d left, because g of x is the one on the right, f of x is the one on the left. All right, so this is something that you just have to internalize. You multiply the derivative by the other function, and then you add the same thing but where you flip them. And if we take it for this specific problem where x is f of x and cosine of x is g of x, then we have left is x times the derivative of the right, which is negative sine of x, plus right is cosine of x, times the derivative of x, which is just 1. So then your derivative of this will just be negative x sine of x plus cosine of x. Now let's say you had to find the derivative of a function at a point. So let's use this function just because it's convenient, because we already did it. Let's say we wanted to find the rate of change, the slope of a tangent line, at x equals 1. Well, then we just take our derivative function. We can call that f prime of x, is this. And then we can take f prime of 1. F prime of 1. Then you just plug in 1 wherever there's an x. So f prime of 1 equals negative 1 sine of 1 plus cosine of 1. Now, 1 isn't the best number to work with for sine and cosine, but this would be your answer, negative sine of 1 plus cosine of 1. And then this could work for any function. If you need to find the slope of a tangent line at a single point, then you just plug in whatever your x value is into your derivative. And something that's pretty similar to the product rule is the quotient rule. So this is the same idea for when to apply it, except instead of f of x times g of x, you have f of x over g of x, so when you're dividing something. So the formula for this, again, is a little annoying to memorize, a little more than the product rule even, but you can remember it as low d high minus high d low all over low low. So we'll see what that looks like. Let's say our function is x to the fourth over e to the x. So it'll be low g d high, so times f prime of x, minus high d low f of x times g prime of x, all over low low, so g of x times g of x, which is g of x squared. So this is the general formula for the quotient rule. And now if we apply it to our particular case of x to the fourth over e to the x, we do low is e to the x times d high, derivative of x to the fourth, is 4x cubed, minus high d low, so x to the fourth times the derivative of e to the x is e to the x, over low low, so e to the x times e to the x. And now we can simplify this a bit. We can factor out an e to the x from the top, and then we're left with 4x cubed minus x to the fourth over e to the x times e to the x, and then these cancel, and then we're left with our derivative dy over dx being 4x cubed minus x to the fourth over e to the x. And then again, like with the product rule, we can just plug in any point and then find the slope of a tangent line at that point. And we just plug it into this formula for the quotient rule.